Yes, please start. Sir Asif, we are on live. We can start the session. You are on mute, sir.
Okay. One minute, give me one. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, good evening, and warm greetings to everyone joining us from the globe. On behalf of Alif Group, Symphitex, Peerless Training and Development, BMAC Group, ICAP KSA chapter, and our valued knowledge partner, it's my great pleasure to welcome all you to the today's complimentary webinar, ESG Made Simple, from Awareness to Strategic Action in Global Markets. My name is Saeed Asuzaman. I'm the CEO of Alif Group, and I'm honored to serve you as a moderator for today's session. Over the past year, environmental, social, governance, and better known as ESG has transformed from corporate trend into a global business imperative. Today's investors are allocating capital based on ESG performance. Banks are integrating sustainability into leading decisions. Regulators are introducing mandatory sustainability disclosures, and customers increasing expect its business to operate responsibly and ethically. In short, ESG is no longer optional. It has become a key driver of competitiveness, resilience, and long-term business success. Today's webinars have been carefully designed to simplify ESG concept and translate them into practical strategy into organizations of every size can understand and implement. Whether you are a business owner, CEO, finance profession, accountant, investor, consultant, board member, entrepreneur, or student, this session will provide valuable insight into how ESG creates sustainable value while managing business risks and unlocking new opportunities. We are truly privileged to have with us an outstanding panel of experts. Our chief guest, Mr. Adnan Haroon, ICW Council member and Managing Director of BMAC Group, has been the forefront of advancing sustainability reporting and corporate governance. We also have delighted to welcome our distinguished speaker, Ms. Mubina Jafar Ali, ESG consultant, corporate strategist, and member of Corporate Governance Institute UK, who will explain ESG fundamental and governance from the strategic business perspective. Mr. Tala Ahmed Khan, sustainability and renewable finance expert and trainer, who will share practical insight into sustainability reporting framework, implementation, and real-world application. I would also like to extend our sincere appreciation to our knowledge partners, including ICAP UAE chapter and ICAP Qatar chapter, for their continuous support in promoting professional excellence and sustainability awareness across the region. Please feel free to submit your questions in the Zoom chat, and we'll address as many of them possible during our live Q&A section at the end. Thank you once again for taking your time to join us today. Without further delay, it is my privilege to invite our esteemed chief guest, Mr. Adnan Haroon, to share his opening remark and set the stage for today's insight discussion. Mr. Adnan Haroon, the virtual floor is yours.
Many thanks, Asif. I think good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you today as a chief guest for this important webinar on the ESG. Just to introduce, in fact, my name is Adnan Haroon. I'm a chartered accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, as well as England and Wales. I spent nearly 20 years with the banking industry, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, and worked globally in the various segment of the bank, including Chief Operating Officer, CFO, and the country manager. I'm currently leading the BMAC Group for the last 5 years, and as well as serving the founding regional director for the CFO Center based in UAE. My connection with the environmental issue started long before ESG became a common business term. Just to give you context, in fact, around 16, 17 years ago, in fact, HSBC selected and sent me to Oxford to take part in the environmental program jointly sponsored by HSBC and WWF. So during that program, I had an opportunity to work with the scientists and other professionals to better understand the climate, environmental risk, and responsibility of business towards society and the planet. So at that time, we were only mainly talking about the environment, climate change, and the corporate responsibility. The term ESG was not widely used in the way it is being used today. Since then, ESG has evolved significantly. It's no longer only about planting tree, reducing papers use, or publishing a sustainability report. ESG now covers three connected areas. So I think ESG is very simple, in fact, and then for the last few years, really evolved a lot, and everyone is doing. So just give you a little basic. In fact, definitely the panel speaker and the other people definitely will give you more deep dive on the carbon credit reporting standards and everything. So environmental means how the company manages impact on climate, energy, waste, water, and natural resources. Social means how the company treats its employees, customers, suppliers, and communities. And governance means how the company is directed, how decisions are made, and how risks are managed, and whether there is any transparency and accountability. So in today's world, investors, bankers, regulators, customers, and employees are all uh, paying closer attention to these matters. Now, for business, ESG should not be seen only as a compliance requirement or an additional cost. When approached properly, it can be a real commercial opportunities. It can help company reduce energy and operating cost, improve access to the finance, and attract investors, strengthen their reputation, and win business from the customers who increasingly expect responsible practices. It also creates a new opportunities in areas such as renewable energy, green finance, sustainability, supply chain, responsible investment, carbon management, technology, data reporting, and advisory services. So just to give you a little background, I was in the one of the board meeting. I cannot name that which board meeting I was there, but we discussed about the IREX, in fact. So it's definitely solar power energy project, and we had an opportunity to really sell this IREX, which is a good commercial opportunity for the business. So this is I think contact that how we can really anyone on the renewable energy can turn into this opportunity as well. There's also opportunity for the financial profession and the CFOs. ESG information is increasingly become a part of business planning, risk management, budgeting, reporting, and investment decision. This means the ESG cannot remain only with the sustainability on marketing team. It needs to become a part of the company's overall strategy and financial planning. Our business must also avoid treating ESG as a branding exercise. Making claims without proper evidence can damage the trust and expose to the bank to the company to reputation and regulatory risk. The starting point does not need to be complicated. A company can begin by understanding of its current position, identifying the most important risk, and setting realistic priorities and measuring progress over time. So just to conclude that one. So my message today is simple. ESG has moved from being a general discussion about environmental responsibility to become an important part of how business manage risk, attract capital, and create long-term value. So company that understand this early will not be in a better position prepared for the future requirement, but will also be in a stronger position to identify new opportunities. With this note, I would like to congratulate the organizers for arranging this timely webinar, and I look forward to hearing the views and experiences of the speakers and the participants. Thank you, Asif.
Thank you very much, Adnan. And without any delay, I would invite Ms. Meena Jafar Ali, ESG consultant, corporate strategic, member of Corporate Governance Institute UK. To you, Ms. Meena.
Hi, thank you, Asif. Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
excellent, excellent. So firstly, good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to thank you at Aleph Group and Peerless and all of the organizers actually for inviting me today to speak about ESG. And it's a pleasure to be here with you. So today we're going to be discussing the subject of what has transformed from being a corporate trend into a business necessity. Exactly what Adnan has actually been talking about. I really resonated with that. I did my my thesis on green finance, so all of this really resonates with me. So, many people, we hear the term ESG and we immediately think, well, companies, immediately think it's complicated, it's for large companies, it's expensive, and perhaps it's just another compliance exercise, another tick box is what you said, yeah. But I want to challenge these assumptions. And my goal today is very simple. Hopefully by the end of this session, I want you to understand that ESG is not just simply about saving the environment. It's about creating a stronger business. It's about managing risk, attracting investors, and about winning customers. So it's really about the 3 Ps, people, planet, profit. And previously, all our accounting was all about, how can we manage profit, shareholders' wealth, etc. So all of us accountants know the drill about maximization of shareholder wealth, profit maximization. But now the world is changing. Now the world is talking about the 3 Ps: people, planet, and then comes profit. But of course profit always follows. So let's start with a really simple question. Why has ESG become really important? 20 years ago, businesses were measured. Oh, is everything okay? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for my slides, but it's okay. So 20 years ago, businesses were measured about entirely one thing, like I said, profit. Today, investors and governments, basically major stakeholders, are asking the questions: how do you treat your employees? How does your business impact the environment, and how ethical is your governance? How resilient actually is your business? So ESG has moved from the corporate social responsibility department to the boardroom actually. And so the question then says, why has it moved into the boardroom? So it's really quite simple actually. Business leaders today are operating in a world that is far more complex than it was even 10 years ago. Climate change, El Nino. I look at this summer today. This summer in the UK, we've had weeks and weeks of what in the UK is a heat wave. Not quite the same for the UAE, I understand, or Saudi. But in the UK, it's quite an odd thing. And so this all relates to climate change. And so the quicker we understand that, the better it is for us. Geopolitical uncertainty, supply chain disruptions, cyber threats, changing consumer expectations, where people are now being criticized for being, the the changing fashion, the quick fashion. So organizations really need to change the way they think about risk. Historically, boards were focused primarily on financial performance. Today, they're expected to consider not just financial performance, but really environmental impact, social governance, and social responsibility. So these are really factors that are no longer viewed as separate. It's okay. You don't need to change the slides. It's fine. I think I am covering the message quite. So just leave it at the core message. Yeah, absolutely. This is fine. So this is exactly what ESG is. Yes, ESG is about environmental. So what is environmental? Organizations just think, oh yes, okay, if we just put on a little solar panel on the top of our roof, we're done with that. But that's not just it, right? We need to think about what Adnan talked about: carbon emissions. What is our carbon footprint? Waste management. What are we doing with our waste? Water recycling. My son should be guilty of water recycling because you know, teenagers use so much water just to shower, and it's outrageous. But you know, this is all about education, and this is why we're here today. It's about educating ourselves and educating businesses about, you know, things like this: water, recycling, renewable energy. Moving on to the S of the ESGs, talking about people. You know, what are we doing with regards to the employees? How fairly are we treating them? What are we doing regards to customers, suppliers, the community at large? You know, health and safety, diversity, well-being, and human rights. Of course, we come to my favorite area, which is governance. And so looking at board effectiveness, ethics, transparency, risk management, internal controls, anti-corruption, and cybersecurity. So really, all of these three pillars actually work well together if we are actually going to implement them effectively. So ESG is not only for large organization. Every organization can begin with practical improvements, from reducing energy consumption to strengthening their governance and their employee well-being. So how do environmental, social, and governance issues affect our business? Of course, it's, you know, as I've mentioned, it's huge. And of course, we can't not mention something what is known as double materiality. You know, double materiality is really about how companies can have financial impact on ESG issues and on the organization, and how that can affect the wider world. Okay, so really all of this concepts really sits at the heart of corporate social responsibility reporting directive, which is the CSRD in Europe. And this is now a thing. This is now part of a requirement according to the EU. You know, we all have to, in the UK as well, we all have to comply with the CSRD. And what is it that we're doing with CSRD? So ESG, you know, it creates financial value. We're now moving from what profit it's making to what value it's creating. And when we look at Saudi 2030 vision, we're thinking about projects such as NEOM, the Red Sea project, Qadiyah, or they all have sustainability considerations built into their planning from the outset. So organizations increasingly are participating in these projects, in their ESG capabilities, and to become more competitive and give them themselves that competitive edge. And this also then appeals to the investors. So why do investors care about ESG? Investors increasingly favor ESG because they are increasingly favor companies that are actually going to do something, because they fundamentally assess risk. Strong governance often indicates better decision making. And of course, better decision making means more profit, means that the companies are looking out for the common mistakes, and then eliminating these common mistakes by treating ESG as a marketing exercise, leaving responsibility one department, and trying to do everything at once. So these are the common mistakes. So moving on to how we can do this as a roadmap. What can companies use as a roadmap? It's really very simple. It's about assessing where you are today, understanding your current performance, your existing strengths, and recognizing where you can improve, thinking about your material ESG issues. Every organization is different, of course. And, what is actually the issue that you can address everything at once? Having measurable objectives. Okay, so having measurable, good intentions are important, of course, but how can you measure them? So set for me, ESG you should have an ESG on the board. So this is why it comes to the boardroom. And within this, actually, this is where those good intentions become measurable. They set out, the internal audit part of where ESG should be measurable, and then embedding them into the actual business decisions. So embedding them into everyday working of the business. So whether it's in investment decisions, whether it's in risk management, whether it's in strategic planning, it not just operates on its own. It's an actual initiative that should take place. Finally, it's reporting the progress, making it transparent and seeing, okay, where did the stakeholders, where was the value for these stakeholders? And therefore, we're not talking about just shareholders now. We're now looking at stakeholders, which is the shift from shareholders to stakeholders. And there is a clear reporting trust that is demonstrating the commitment to continuous improvement, and which is what's most important. So my final point here is the future of ESG. Where is the future of ESG? And it's, for me, it's moving towards greater transparency, mandatory reporting, AI-enabled data collection. AI, we have to, whether companies like it or not, need to embrace data collection and doing it through AI and making it have it with the ESG in mind and increased, investor expectations. These are your expectations of your investors, and that therefore these, are very important. AI is already beginning to automate ESG data collection and reporting. International reporting standards, the IFRS S1 and IFRS S2, are creating greater consistency in, sustainability. So that's how we can get started. I think it's about, with my closing reflection, I hope I haven't gone over my time, but as you can see, I'm quite passionate about this subject. My closing, I guess, final thought is I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Organizations that succeed over a decade will not necessarily be those with the largest budgets or the largest workforce. There will be organizations that build trust, okay? Trust with customers, with employees, with investors, and regulators. So ultimately, ESG provides a framework for building and maintaining that trust. So thank you once again for your time today, and I hope this session has demonstrated that ESG is far more important than just compliance requirement. It's a strategic opportunity to build more resilient, more future-ready organizations, and I wish you all every success as you continue your ESG journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Meena. Thanks a lot. And we'll come back to you for question and answers. And to you now, Talha. Talha is a sustainability and renewable finance expert and trainer who will share practical insight to sustainability reporting framework, implementation, and real-world application. To you, Talha.
Thank you very much, everyone, for inviting me for this very timely session. And as Meena mentioned, that we are practically actually witnessing the implementation of the triple P, people, planet, and profit. I'm the person who deals with the people and the profit, and the resultant is the planet. So as a matter of fact, for the sake of introduction, I'm in the field of investment banking from the last 15 odd years, and looking after sustainability projects and the power related and the renewable related projects very actively. And I would say I'm among those blessed ones who have witnessed the growth of all the panels who are sitting over here. And I would like to see and synergize some of the points what I have seen while means managing the carbon products and the carbon selling. So today, it's not about just greenwashing that we are saying that we are sustainable. It's not about CSR. It's more about unit economics now. For me, it's more important that after doing every effort and everything, every project, every renewable marketing, my project should be profitable, the product should be profitable, and the product should be sustainable. So that's my major concern. So the planet will be the outcome of it. So right now in the world, and when we talk about the Middle East is stuck in a bracket. Like, for example, till 2030, we will be reporting the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, S1, S2. I'm not touching down the boredom products. Sorry for my word, is the reporting side. I will be discussing more of the implementation side, that how the costing will impact. So when it comes to the S1 and S2 implementation, it will be like, for example, right now I'm sitting in Oman, the S1 and S2, especially when it comes to the scope 1, means the direct emissions, the scope 2, indirect emissions, scope 3, very indirect emissions in that one. It will be implemented and will be enacted from 2029 till 2030. So in the similar brackets, all the Middle East is going through. So now I will be discussing one of the very active mechanism that has been implemented over the means by virtue of EU. That is, let me check, let me open it. That is the carbon border adjustment mechanism. So I will be discussing one of the mechanism that is implemented by European Union, and that will be affecting each and every one of us if we are dealing with the European Union. Similar of such mechanism has been adopted by different countries as well. So how this is my brief profile. All of the people who are witnessing will get the slide deck after this means webinar. So the major reason why this mechanism has been adopted by European Union. So what happens that after the Paris Agreement, after the other agreement, the TCFD and other scenarios, Europe has adopted a carbon strategy for the net zero by 2050 and attaining some of the milestones by 2040. So they have established a structure for their producers for carbon emissions, that is EU ETS, that is European Union Emission Trading System. But due to that, what happened effectively, it resulted in the pricing of the local producers. And then they started saying that, okay, then what will happen? The local market will start importing from for example, the Middle East or from the Southeast Asia. And what will happen? The production will started pivoting towards these low-cost regions. And what will result? There will be a carbon leakage. That although you are trying to curtail carbon within the European Union, but you are producing the same amount of carbon in other jurisdiction, in other territory, and that results in the same amount of carbon, lower produce. What we are getting, we are losing actually our products. So afterwards, what happened that there is majorly the Paris Agreement. Each one of us may know this is one of the agreement in which we are trying to curtail the emission or the temperature within 2 degrees pre-industrialized levels. But in this particular scenario, after the European Green Deal, Fit for 55 package was made. The European Commission proposes CBAM as part of the package to cut 55% by 2030 versus the 1990 levels. But what does it mean, 55% cut? This means unit economics are getting out of control for the European Union. So what did it? So this is how I would say the curse of the ESG happens on this side of the world. So European Union said that, okay, we respect the fact that you are, frankly, those who are posting questions, we will be entertaining all the questions after the end of the session. So just hold for a while. So what the European Union did, that European Union said that in order to make it fair war, in order to make it fair for all the producers, and in order to effectively attain the mission of the carbon, so we have to establish a certain certification structure under which whoever is importing from any other country will need a consideration of a carbon certificate that will be sold by the European Union countries, and that carbon certificate will make the cost fair to the by any entity who is selling without any carbon accreditation or carbon scheme and having emissions. So in order to make the cost fair when it compared to the cost that is incurred in the European Union. So right now, right away, there are these sectors that are already being implemented, that is iron and steel, cement, aluminum, hydrogen, electricity, and fertilizer. So if you're advising any of your clients who are majorly importing or exporting towards these countries, and their companies are not accredited with the carbon emission scheme and they are not regarding carbon, it's a bad news for them, because carbon certification will make materially the unit economics worse for them. Sorry to say for them. So now, so if you are working for any of the sectors, or and by the way, the sector the list is expanding. So these certifications, if you are major, I'm focusing more of toward the European market. Later on, inshallah, in a later scenario, I will be focusing on other markets as well. So the mechanism is simple: register yourself, report your emissions, and if you are not accredited, your country is not keeping the records, or there is no carbon structure exists. So you have to buy the whole value of the carbon certificates, and you have to surrender your record annually basis. So what will happen? See, this is a generic formulation. I will not be going towards the calculation, because the calculation varies. It varies from one product to another product. It usually takes the average carbon emission, what sort of plant you have, what sort of technology you have, and what sort of equivalent technology the European Union have, and then the cost is built. The major impact is in this timeline. Transitional phase has started, then omnibus simplification impacted in the October. Then from January 2026, the regime started up, because now we are in 2026. So the certificate of surrender is happening. Some timelines have been extended to 1st of January 2027, but at the end of the day, we are in the scheme right now, right away. So if you are dealing right now with any of the 6 sectors, so you have to be ready if you are exporting to European Union. So just where we stand right now in the CBM, just look at the data. 12,000 plus operators applied since January 7, 2026. Declarants obtained 10,483 import declaration validated, and 1.666 metric ton of carbon or good covered in the first reporting window. So you can see the volume is speaking, and it will be impacting your bottom line. So CBM is still actively refined. The key development motions are happening. Scope is expanding. Decarbonization fund is also established over there in order to support. There are certain values that initially will impact 10% of the cost, then 20%, then 30%. Those who are interested in the calculation of it, do let me know. I will send the calculator, but right now for the timing restrictions, I will be just scalping over the key areas. Then this is the actually a sort of a case. For example, you are sitting in South Asia and you are producing blast furnace oxygen, and you are in the HRC, hot rolled coil steel business, and you are falling under Chapter 27, and your country does not qualify for the scheme, because what this scheme allows, that if you are already in a region where there's a strong governance, there's a corporate, there's a ladies like Meena is already auditing your carbon emissions, then they allow a benefit and the cost will not be will not incur. For example, if UK is exporting towards, for example, Ireland, although it's a part and parcel, but Ireland, so in that scenario, the cost may not be impacted. but if they are selling to other regions, for example, Greece, and they don't have that accreditation, or Greece is importing to this region, then the cost may increase. So look at this slide actually. After all the calculation, assuming that there is no carbon accreditation, the cost per tonnage of HRC will result into 254 per ton for this assumed country. As a matter of fact, baseline this is 100 per ton and 94 ton. So just you can see how non-competitive you became just by not following the current mechanism if you are not following as an exporter. So just for a country, if you are in a South Asian country and you are not following the requirements, 80% of the product value cost will be a CBAM cost if you are not following that. 18% of the share of the total European Union CBAM cost, for example, India is projected to bear nearly double the value of the European import value, and 56% of the estimated rather than the delivered steel cost to the European Union by 2034. This data may differ, but this data simply is saying if you are not accredited, then it's a bad news. You will not be competitive in the market by saying by greenwashing or creating your factory in a region where there is no restriction on carbon emission. No, it will be under the radar under this scheme. So action plan, just get ready, map exposure, identify all CBM goods in your import supply chain volumes against the 50th threshold, secure authorization, apply for authorization, get supply data. You have to get lots of verification, and third, budget the certificates. This is an expensive scenario, so you have to budget it out and track the pipeline, benchmark, update, downstream rules, create a governance structure. So in short, you will be revamping whole of your governance, your reporting lines, and whole of your structure. So key takeaways from this: CBAM is live right now. You can test it. It's right now targeting the 6 sectors, but it's expanding. There are a lot of announcements is about to come. Cost exposure will be embedded, and the framework is still evolving. So if you have any question, we will have it in the session afterwards. But from the point of view of the costing, I would like to conclude with the fact that unit economics are changing as ESG is changing. It's not just about S1, S2 reporting and lines, but it will be impacting your debt capability, your structuring, the financial structuring, and at the end of the day, you will be able to contribute into the net zero. So that's why I was saying that people profit, then planet will impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Talha. Thanks for your insights and everything like that. Now I will invite we have some questions received we'll be answering through our knowledge partners, which is Khushbu Mushtaq from ICAP UAE chapter and Mr. Osman Anwar from Qatar. And our distinguished co-host, organizer, Mr. Tazi Waqas is also there. So first of all, I would like to introduce Ms. Khushbu Mushtaq. She's a very well-known, renowned consultant based in UAE, and she has expertise, very high expertise in different matters. To you, Khushbu. Khushbu, I have a questions which have been raised. That is ESG only large public companies, small, medium-sized enterprise, SMEs owner will want to know if it is applicable to them. To you, Khushbu.
Assalamu alaikum, Asif. How are you? And congratulations for arranging this outstanding session. I'm sure it will add value to everyone listening. And on behalf of the entire UAE chapter, I thank you to involve us and our members on this webinar. So regarding your question, I think it's a very, very common question I also hear from all my clients. So basically, if I would put it in a comprehensive way, what I believe that ESG is not only for public, yes, that says that the regulators usually start implementing all these regulations on the public entities and listed entities and larger companies. Why? Because they have more structured data initially, and that helps in application of those standards. So right now, yes, you can say it might be the requirement on all the large companies, all those companies that are public, all those companies that are dealing in those products which Mr. Talha explained right now. But this cannot be limited to these companies. What I believe and what is actually there in the market, that once these regulations are being implemented on public entities, the results will definitely help the regulator to assess the implications. So once the regulation is properly implemented on all these entities, all these SMEs will also come in place. They also have to implement it. Because I believe, and even in what you can see in the UAE, we are already seeing greater focus on sustainability, climate related reporting, and many SMEs are being asked for ESG information from multinational customers, investors. So it's better, I believe it's the right time you should start planning rather than waiting for it to be mandatory. So that's a small piece of advice from my side.
Thank you very much. And as a follow-up that, what happens if our company ignores ESG? They need to understand the risks such as losing client, regulatory penalties, or reputation damages. What do you think? What's the regulations in implemented already in UAE that which affects that if you ignore the ESG, being a listed company or what? Can you enlighten us on that one, please?
I think yes. So I'll take this question from Meena and Talha's presentation as an answer. Just like Meena suggested that profitability is one part, but sustainability will be the next question. So remember, if you go 10 years back, the investors always ask how profitable is your company. But today, they will also ask that how sustainable is your company in the long run, right? So globally, we are seeing more investment flowing towards businesses that are more sustainable, that has more sustainable practice. They have companies that have more cleaner operations and maybe better governance. Many institutional investors, I believe, are looking into companies that includes ESG considerations as a part of their investment decisions. So if you're not complying with ESG, what Talha suggested, you will not be competitive. You can lose clients, you lose investor, you will also lose your financing opportunities, as ESG will become a most important part of the procurement and investment decision. Even for us, me as a consultant, I have been asked whenever I've submit all the procurement requirements, they ask us as well, all the larger companies, listed entities in UAE and the GCC, they are asking us to fill where do we comply with the sustainability areas. So yes, if it has already been started and if we are not following it, we will not be competitive. So I think, again, my piece of advice will be don't wait for it to be mandatory. Start working for it now.
Thank you very much. And then Amina, you have raised hand, something like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Khushbu actually, would it be better for when companies, and you're advising companies to deal with this, how would it be for them to have a questionnaire for their whether it's their retailers or whatever is their customers or their suppliers, to actually answer that questionnaire so that they know how they are doing with the scope 1, the scope 2, etc., and how their, I guess, their connections are doing with their ESG, which will in the end impact them as well.
I agree. That has already been started here, Meena, for the UAE, that I'm suggesting to my clients have the procurement, because I'm dealing with listed and public companies, entire GCC. They have come up with the entire survey questionnaire, and they are asking us the similar kind of questions, that where do you stand, what SOPs you have implemented, what scoring you have developed, all these questions. There is a survey. Initially, they've started as a survey, now they have made it a procurement requirement. So I think things are changing, times are changing, people are adapting, and I believe it's for good.
I agree.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you. Thanks, Arun. Usman, to you, what are the financial benefit of adopting ESG? And they want to know that if ESG increasing profitability or lower operational costs, You are based in Qatar. Let us know what's going on in Qatar, how the implementation and other things are there. And coming back to this, the financial benefits of adopting ESG. To you, Usman.
Assalamu alaikum, and first of all, thank you very much, Asif, Alif Group, our distinguished speakers, Mubina and Talha. We had a wonderful presentation. When we talk about the benefits of ESG, see, it's basically, I mean, it's a range of benefits basically which an entity can get. So it starts from, avoiding the fines which may be applicable on the entities, all the way up to, getting the benefits by adopting the ESG compliance. As we have seen from Talha's presentation, so there will be an implication of 80% of the cost in case we don't have these certifications. So going forward, for sure, the businesses have to adopt ESG standards and the compliance frameworks in order to benefit from this initiative. So I mean, it's not just the profitability. It is a social behavior, I would say, which will be definitely linked to the performance of the entities, and it will be critical for sustainability of the business operations. But stronger labor practices, lower expensive employee turnover rates, and it boosts worker productivity, while rigorous governance prevents costly regulatory fines and litigations. So I think it's not an option to adopt. It will become a regulation to to adopt by the businesses in the long run.
Yeah, Talha, you are saying something.
Yeah, I just want to add on this, that with a simple example, I was dealing with a project a day before, the seconding Ms. Khushbu's and Usman's thought, that, for example, right now, when we are doing S1 and S2 reporting, majorly jurisdiction are focusing more on scope 1 and scope 2. For example, take an example of an insurance firm. Right now, they will be having the free flight because there is nothing to report when it comes to the sustainability reporting. But when the scope 3 enters, just imagine the insurance company who is insuring vehicles. The largest amount of explicit reporting and the costing impact will happen to the insurance entities. So in that manner, whether you love it or not, the ESG is on the way especially when it comes to the cost efficiency.
Thank you. Meena, you want to add something, I think.
I wanted to add something to what Usman said, and a little question. I'll be the devil's advocate for Talha's question. I wanted to add for Usman to say that, one of the financial benefits I feel also is where smaller companies need access to finance. They often need access to finance, and sometimes, actually increasingly having ESG as part of your strategy makes it easier to access finance, because I guess lenders are looking at this and saying, well, you are doing good, so therefore, you are meeting some metrics, and therefore access to finance is available. Now, in regards to Talha, yes, I agree that, all of this compliance is important, but being a devil's advocate, these are small companies. What we need to do as part of consultants is really find a way whereby we can advise them on implementing all of this, scope 1, 2, 3, implementing, the entire ESG framework within an affordable pathway, because it is actually quite expensive. You're actually asking employees to not only do what their core activities are, but now to add to these core activities, this, ESG requirements. So I think what we need to do as consultants is find a really a good way of, I guess, advising companies on how to implement, ESG based on this, I guess, costly task And I think the way we can do that is that to say that once you have a framework set out, then keeping up with those frameworks is much easier and less costly compared to when you are just avoiding it because of the cost.
Thank you, Mina. And then the next question, because you have already raised that one, that Usman, now a very $100 question for you, not $1 million. How do you start if you have zero budget or a small team, for that one? How you have to, cope up with this, which we look at for the actionable low cost first steps?
See, I would say the companies with zero budget, they can start by identifying few ESG issues critical to their industry, first of all. Next, they can establish some kind of, baseline using their internal data like utility bills, HR spreadsheets in order to, instead of, buying expensive softwares. Finally, the implementing zero cost operational shifts, such as adjusting office thermostat baseline, enforcing digital first document policies, and forming a voluntary internal employee committee. These are the things. And it's more, I would say, it's linked to the cultural understanding and cultural shifts. For example, in our company, although we are not mandatorily required to do some kind of ESG reporting, but for the last 5 to 6 years, we have, as part of our corporate objectives, so many initiatives which are directly linked to ESG initiatives. I mean, it includes the digitalization of many processes to eliminate the printing and storage of manual papers. Similarly, I mean, to categorize the waste into different type of waste categories so that it can be easy for the government agencies to pick up and to categorize the reusable material. So there are many initiatives, whether it directly makes some kind of benefit for you or no. But overall, it's a culture, it's a mindset basically, which is going to establish, and it will definitely be helpful for all the organizations going forward, whether they have a smaller budget or zero budget or larger budget. I mean, this is the way forward, I think so.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Adnan, you want to say something? You are
Hi.
on mute, Adnan. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's definitely these all very wonderful discussion is going on. In fact, I think that I just need to add a little bit 2 cents on that side. That most importantly is the data, right? I think you report about the compliance, you report of all the reporting as well. So I think larger organization definitely they have a good systems, and then they have a good mechanism to track all these things. At the medium, the small organization is going to be a major impact is going to come up as the regulation goes for the further into the scope 3 and all. In fact, so the main requirement is to ensure that the data is correct, whether you have a right system to really in place to really get this all data that is meaningful and that can be useful for the reporting purpose as well. So I think for me, in fact, if you look at the smaller and the medium organization, they are still not there. In fact, and that will lead that if you don't have any right database into the reporting will be wrong, and then eventually you will be going to be fined or penalized. So for me, in fact, the data is very important for every organization, which comes to whether small or medium or the large as well. That there should be a good system in place so that they can really track that, and then there should be a strong KPIs. In fact, I think this is very that we sometimes we take very KPIs very lightly. That is it's a tick box type of exercise. When it comes to the regulation, KPIs really play a very important role. I think KPI the dashboard has to be developed based on the database and the system, and then KPIs and dashboard will be there. Then it has to be not only one level, and the presentation that we have talked about, that it's not just only for the management perspective, it's also to the board level as well. So I think board should be emphasizing that there should be a strong KPIs and dashboard to be there to monitor all this thing as well. And for the smaller organization, definitely they don't have any board and everything. So it's a owner-driven organization. They have to ensure that they should be educated by themselves about what the requirement is coming up down the line. It's not far away. Some of them already been implemented for the bigger organization. So they eventually will be coming on the loop. So just a 2 cents that I just need to highlight this.
Thank you. Meena, you want to add something?
Yes, sorry. Thank you so much. I wanted to add to Adnan's comment that yes, data is quite it is imperative because without data, it's very hard to understand. But I think in order to resolve, I would not say entirely, but somewhat to go towards this would be training. I think if there is training for staff on, number one, understanding ESG, of course, but also, how to maintain data. So I think the bottom line is training them, training staff, and not just training them once, but, having, annual training sessions so that they continue to understand what's important and why it's important to have this. Secondly, it's having an internal control system. So your internal audit or internal control system whereby that is managed by the board through their risk management, through their risk assessor, the person responsible for risk management. I think that is imperative to also have. So this is where your KPIs would come in, would be measured by the internal control and understand, whether these KPIs are met. And that also in itself requires training as well. So that's my 2 pence worth.
Thank you. Thank you, Mina. With us is Kazi Waqas, and he has been organizing different trainings. He's the CEO of Symphotech, and I would like to hear something from him that what do you think, what is the future of trainings and requirements are for the ESG? To you, Kazi.
Thank you, Asif, first of all, for arranging this wonderful session. And I feel like this is a very intense discussion by all the ESG experts. And I'll second to what Meena just mentioned. And that's why I was smiling as well that finally some people are talking about training as well, being among with all the consultants. So what I have seen in the past, I must say 4 to 5 years, that yes, ESG and sustainability overall, it's evolving a lot. During one of my discussions with Talha, I think last year in Oman as well, people are and companies at a large scale, what we have seen are investing on ESG. Apart from what Khushbu and Adnan mentioned, because we are not interacting with small organizations, we are only interacting with large groups because of their training budgets. And yes, it comes from top to bottom. Only what I have seen in a couple of local groups in Abu Dhabi who are in various businesses like cement, factories they have, and in other businesses, only if the top management is interested and they deliver across the organization a proper change management program into various departments, not only the custodians of the ESG departments, only then it is well accepted. I must use these words because there is a concept of creating ESG champions as well. When we see in a couple of banks, especially in Dubai, but even the ESG champions can work only if there is an acceptance level. So at a technical level, yes, implementation of ESG, what you all have mentioned. But apart from that, as Meena rightly said, that training is equally important and most important if you want to go for a plan, for a roadmap of implementing it and accepting it. So we are. Good thing is that even apart from whatever is happening, we do a lot of trainings on ESG, and I can see a couple of very good speakers over here in this webinar for my future sessions as well. So yeah, I think I would second whatever has been said, especially by all of you. Of course, what Tala has been saying was very technical for me, being a non-ESG expert. But thank you once again for inviting me as a partner in these kind of sessions, and looking forward for more sessions like this, Alif Group, and promoting them to our local and the regional clientele. Thank you, Asif.
Thank you. So there are some questions in the chat board, and Miss Alia have posted 1, 2, 3 questions. Alia, if you are there, can you ask the question directly? I think is addressed to Miss Meena and Tala. Alia, please.
Hi, Meena. No offense, huh? She's my friend.
None
Okay.
whatsoever. Do you know what? Alia, what you do on LinkedIn, I can't keep up of how amazing you are with your LinkedIn and what you do. So it's amazing. So big hearts to you. Well done.
Thank you, darling. That's why I want to chase everyone so they can chase me back.
And
It's a reciprocal
I
thing.
can't cope.
Okay. Meena, I was wondering if all
Yeah.
ESG reports disappeared tomorrow, okay,
Mhm.
what would you look for inside a company to know whether it genuinely lives ESG
Mm.
rather than simply reports it?
Mm. Okay. Now this is actually a very thoughtful question, to be honest. I think thinking about it, I think if all ESG reports disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't start by looking for a report. I would probably look for a company's decisions and behaviors. I'd ask, how are they treating their employees? How are they engaging with their customers and suppliers? How are board making their decisions? Are environmental and social risks considered when improving investments? I'd even go as far as saying, are executives rewarding long-term value creation rather than short-term profits? So I would actually look for evidence such as one of the speakers mentioned, I think it was Usman, about staff retention, health and safety records, customer trust, supply chain relationships. So this is part of Talha's S the scope 1 and 2, etc. So looking at supply chain in energy efficiency initiatives, really how the company is responding to something that goes wrong. So ESG is really demonstrated by the glossy report that is out there. It's actually demonstrated by consistent actions, accountability, and the culture where responsible businesses, practices are embedded in decision making, everyday decision making. So really, a company doesn't become sustainable just because it's producing a lovely ESG report. It becomes sustainable because it's making good decisions on a daily basis. So reports should simply tell a story. It should never be the story.
Yeah, in
Thank you, Meena.
continuation, I have
Alia,
another question,
yeah.
in
Can you,
looping.
Alia, the time is short. Can you ask another question to Tala? So there are so many questions online, please.
Okay. Tala, like today we are talking about carbon footprints. Do you think in the future every exported product will effectively carry a carbon passport?
It really depends. But right now, for example, if we extrapolate what's going on in that, it doesn't seem non-feasible or a long shot. For example, right now there is a term known as green steel. What does the green steel mean? Green steel means from the starting point, the energy production, till the financing, the structuring, everything should be abiding the green principles. So in that manner, certain jurisdiction already is saying that we will only buy green steel. So in one point or another, we will be adopting it. And as the other speakers said, and the training perspective said, see, it's all about environment. While I was discussing the day with one of the trainers, that when I was in the very start, like 5, 6, 7 years back, we were discussing CSR. Then it becomes sustainability. Then sustainability becomes a normal logic. Then a new term comes the window greenwashing. Then we went into the scope 1, 2, 3. So the environment is enhancing, and it's not that it's not embedding. It's embedding really fast. So I think so. The carbon footprint will be the normal thing. The next thing your kids will be reading on the ingredient side will be the carbon footprint, maybe down the road.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you very much, Tala.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Alia. Mr. Jamil Hussain, you are there. You have raised some question. Can you spell out for us?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much to all the panelists for their very insightful discussion. I had a political economy question because in North America, what is going on is visible in news every day with respect to the trade war. And I believe this is a good protectionism by EU to put price tags on non-compliant or semi-compliant products. So I was wondering if there's any policy recommendation from this panel of experts about kind of giving some breathing time or committed period to the businesses to become compliant before they can freely trade in carbon compliant or green products with the EU. So even in Canada, the provinces do not have coherent regulations. One province cannot trade with the other because one wants green and the other doesn't have green. So is there a policy recommendation for on this subject by the panel of experts? How to go about it, how to give a breathing period and make the businesses compliant, and if they don't, then penalize them for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Meena or Atala, who want to answer? It's okay to you. Meena, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really important political question, actually, and I wouldn't really recommend a blanket relaxation or suspension of EU requirements, because I think it undermines European producers who have already invested quite heavily in decarbonization, and it could create incentives for companies to delay action. So, however, I would probably support a conditional, or perhaps conditional time limited transition mechanism for credible trading partners and supply chain that could demonstrate real commitment to compliance. So a practical policy, could have certain elements. So firstly, EU could offer a defined transition period, like 3 to 5 years. They could have binding decarbonization plans, perhaps, like a compliance pathway, not just a grace period in which nothing really happens. And I think Dalha will come back with this, where the CBAM framework already allows for relevant carbon prices that are paid in third countries to be reflected in the obligation. So there is a basis for avoiding
I guess there's interruption.
There's interruptions. I think actually, here with us is Dasti Nur Halia. Miss Dasti Nur Halia. Yeah, I
lost
think
everyone there. Did I lose that? It
yeah,
just
yeah,
went. Is that okay?
yeah, it's okay, fine. You can complete, no problem.
Can I continue, or
Yeah,
is
yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, as I was saying, where was I? I was just talking about, the CBAM, looking at double charging and having a genuine carbon cost. So really, measure reporting and verification. So you talked about the governments in the US, Canada, and Mexico. They could jointly establish a shared carbon accounting tool, accredited verification program, and perhaps, a sector specific guidance. And I guess this would be particularly valuable when integrated with the North American supply chains, where, one product crosses borders several times before completion.
Thank you. This Miss Dusty, you have raised some questions over here. That hello, are you there? Anyhow, I will read the question. That I would like to ask 3 questions. Which company is expected or required to implement ESG? As someone who is new to this topic, what are the application if a company does not implement ESG? Are there specific type of companies that are legally required to adopt ESG practices? Additionally, how does artificial intelligence AI influence or support ESG implementation? I have some questions, and rest I will leave to the panelists to answer these questions. What I think is today ESG is increasing expected in large listed companies, financial institutions, multinational corporation, and business operating in global supply chain. However, SMEs are also adopting ESG as customers, investors, and regulators increasingly, expect responsible business practices. And what are the companies legally required to adopt? I think it depends on the jurisdictions, but mainly are the public listed companies, financial institutions, or large corporations to make sustainability or climate related disclosures. Smaller companies today are not required mandatory to do these things. And that for the last part, what you are talking about is that how ESG, AI support ESG. It has been, already defined by Meena in her, a speech that AI is becoming a powerful enabler for ESG by helping organizations collect and analyze ESG data, which Talai identified that main thing, and then Usman also, that data automate sustainability reporting, monitoring carbon emission, identifying ESG risks, detecting, compliance issues, optimizing energies, and improving decision making. Anything more to be added, please, Talha, please?
I would just say if you're asking this question, you are already on the starting line of ESG because you are concerned that something will happen. Frankly speaking, from as you said, that large scale companies are doing it in a formal manner. But right now, what I always say in my office with my colleagues as well, that create a culture. First of all, create a culture that culture of abiding the guidelines, culture of abiding the governance structure, taking the KPIs like a KPI. So that's the first step. And by the time the things become, as the Khushbu mentioned, that one fine day SMEs will also be in the radar. So if the culture is there, adoption will be easy.
Okay, then there is one more question. I think the time we are running out, and less, Talha, you can answer the questions over there, and Meena can help out that people who have asked the question raised. I have tried to answer the questions. And because we are now going to on a closing one, that I would like to thank everybody, who have joined this webinar today. And I will express my sincere gratitude to all the distinguished speakers, our chief guests, our knowledge partner, and every participant who have joined across UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia, and many other countries. I'm very much thankful, special thanks for our chief guest, Dr. Mr. Adnan Harun, for inspiring leadership and continuous advocacy for sustainability and corporate reporting. My appreciation goes to excellent speakers, Ms. Meena Jafar Ali and Talha Ahmed Khan, for sharing practical insight and have made ESG easier to understand and implement. I would like to thanks to knowledge partner Khushbu Mushtaq, member of ICAP UAE chapter, Mr. Usman Anwar, chairman of ICAP Qatar chapter, Qazi Waqas from Simfitech, for enriching today's discussion and their valuable perspective and engaging with our interactive question answer. Today's webinar was demonstrated that ESG is no longer just a compliance requirement, it's a strategic business imperative. Organization that embrace sustainability, strong governance, social responsibility will be better positioned to attract investors, manage risk, create long-term values, remain competitive in global market. So last word from every one of you, starting with from Usman, the closing remarks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As we have rightly said, even if these standards, they are not applicable on SMEs, but I have seen the practice now from the financing institutions who are coming and asking about the ESG initiatives, what the companies are doing. So it's a green financing basically, which is taking in shape in the GCC as well. So I think it's as I mentioned earlier, that it will be more of an attitude to adopt the ESG. At last, on behalf of all the members from the ICAP Qatar chapter, it's a pleasure to have the distinguished speakers to have the details on ESG initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Talha.
Thank you very much, first of all, Asif sir, and for inviting me and giving me the floor. Yeah, so I would say to everyone that ESG is reality. Just keep reading, keep intact what you're doing, and just train your staff with the proper governance culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Khushbu?
Thank you, Asif, and I would like to appreciate the time and efforts that you have and the entire team, and plus all the speakers have put in the session. I think it's a value addition for all of us. I'm not an ESG expert myself, but I think it's more exciting now. I might shift my advisory to ESG shortly. Although I'm working on the IFRS side, but yeah, collecting data and reporting side, that's more
People who does
interesting.
not know you are very much expert in, Khushbu is very much expert in IFRS and GAAP, and she have done a lot of work in Saudi Arabia and UAE. And I think if she is in ESG, so she will do very tremendous, work on that.
Thank you, Asif. Thank you. Just one word from what we are trying to do as a member of Managing Committee of UAE chapter. We are also making sure that our members in the UAE are up to date with the knowledge. So these kind of webinars are definitely adding to it, and I can see many members joining the webinar. I would again appreciate the efforts that you and the entire team has put in, Asif. I'm looking forward for more sessions like that. And thank you, the speakers, Talha, Meena, you guys were great. Adnan Saab, thank you so much for sharing your experience and knowledge with us. I'm more than overwhelmed with meeting you all. So hopefully we meet in person soon. And thank you very much from my side.
Thank you. To Adnan, our ICAW council member for sustainability, raising the flag, saving the planet. Captain America, to you, Adnan.
Well, I think first of all, many thanks, Asif, for providing this opportunity. It's a great session. I think 100 plus attendees and very good interactive session. I think that it's a learning session. I think that sustainability or ESG is evolving. In fact, it's a keep learning. In fact, that every day something is going to change. In fact, it's going to come. So I think these sessions really help to us as well. We are still learning in the phase. In fact, although I'm sitting in the council in the sustainability committee in the UK as well, I think that these sessions really help the connectivity with the people, and knowledge sharing is one of the key sessions. And then whatever the effort that you guys are doing, in fact, especially the ICAPs in UAE as well as other countries, and you guys are really connected, which is really remarkable. So keep continue, and thanks again for inviting me here.
Thank you. To you, Meena.
Well, what can I say? One comes on as told as an expert panelist, but actually, when we talk about training, actually we ourselves are continually learning, and even an expert is always learning. So I'm always learning, and I've learned myself so much here. And so I want to say thank you to you all for your time here today, for teaching everyone else, including myself. But just to say that everyone and every company and every organization and every person should remember that ESG is not just 3 letters. It's actually how you embody it, how you live it, how a company lives it, and how you not only govern yourself by it, but you govern your companies by it. So 3 Ps for sure, because you need to look at your planet, you need to look at the people, and you need to, of course, make a profit. This is actually the whole tenet of Islamic values as well, that God gave us our planet, and it is up to us, it is our responsibility to look after it. And so therefore, we need to train everyone on how to look after it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Kazi Wakas.
I will just say a note of thanks, especially Asif. You come up always with such initiatives of gathering people from not diversified, but working on different domains on one platform. So it's a wonderful session. From a learning perspective, I can see 90 to 100 people are attending. So it's a wonderful session. I will just say a lot of thanks to all the speakers, and looking forward to such initiatives, I must say, in the future as well, and be part of it. Thank you once again to all of you.
Now, in the last, I will introduce Naved Khatri, the man behind all this, who have, make it happen. To you, Naved bhai.
Yeah, it was just wonderful, and it was so easy to organize this webinar. and all because of this wonderful speakers that we had and the panelists that we had. So yeah, it was real pleasure in organizing this very appropriate seminar at the right time, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Naveed is partner for Alif Group. He's based in Riyadh nowadays. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning us with us, and stay tuned for our next topic, inshallah, soon. Thank you.